Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, since this channel is going to be focused a lot on archery, and my everyday life involves archery, I'd say probably about 70 to 80% of my day is wrapped up in archery and this sport in general. I did want to kind of give a little overview before I dive into a bunch of videos about tips and tricks and hunting stories and strategies and all these things that go into archery. I did want to give a little background on my archery story. Um, I'd like to say that it's unique, but I don't think it is really all that unique. I do think a lot of people kind of follow this same story, and if your story is similar to this, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to share some stories, connect with some of you guys, and hear your archery story. So, to start right off, I've been shooting a bow since I was about 5 years old. I have not always shot a traditional bow. I've only been shooting a traditional bow for about this will be my second full season shooting a traditional bow. At 5 years old, my dad gave me my first compound and threw a box out in the yard at our cabin and threw a log in it so that it didn't blow away, and gave me 2 arrows, and I just sat there and pounded this box all day. Shortly after that, I upgraded into I'd say like a teenage kind of style bow, very adjustable compound, very adjustable weight range. Shot that from when I was about, I don't know, I'd say 10 to about 18. I shot that 17 years old. I shot that and killed my first deer with it. And from that point on, I was hooked. After I killed my first deer, well, let's back up a little bit. Before I killed my first deer, I wouldn't necessarily say I was hooked. I shot, it was fun, but I wasn't really necessarily hooked. After I shot my first deer, that's when I really, really fell in love with the sport. I did wrestle in high school, so a lot of my fall was taken up with wrestling throughout high school. So I didn't get to hunt as much as I would have liked to, but every chance I got to do it, I did do it. So that's kind of my early years. Now, when I turned 18, I did want a new bow. I ended up selling the old bow that I kind of grew up with. Ended up getting a Matthews Z7 Extreme. For you compound guys, you guys have probably heard of that bow. It was extremely, extremely popular, still extremely popular. Shot that bow for about a season and then wanted something else. Switched over to the Matthews No Cam HTX. With the No Cam, loved the bow, shot a few deer with it. Great bow, I shot it wonderfully. And then I started upgrading my sights and my rest and my stabilizer setup and my releases, and started going to 3D tournaments, and I started winning some money. Now, when I talk about winning money, I wasn't winning thousands of dollars. I was winning $50 here or there, paying for my gas to go to these tournaments and everything. And that's when I really started getting hooked in shooting year round. Not just getting ready for hunting season, but really just shooting all year and honing this craft. For anybody that knows me personally, I have a very addictive personality. When I pick something up, I want to be the best at it, and I want to learn everything about it. I dive into it, learn all the little niches, all the little tips and tricks, and every little thing I can learn about it, I do. And I started diving down the rabbit hole, started making my own arrows, started fletching my own arrows, started tuning my own bow, started kind of learning different techniques of doing things better. I was good, but I wasn't as good as I thought I could be, so I just kept always trying to improve, which you should do at anything in life that you're passionate about. While I was in college, I did pick up my first sponsorship, which was with Walk On Archery, a Target company, who I no longer am with. And then shortly after that, I picked up Ethics Archery. Bruce over there at Ethics Archery, wonderful guy. He has kind of the same ideals as me. He gets addicted about this stuff. He lives, eats, and breathes bow hunting and archery. And so for me, it was a solid fit. It wasn't anything where they were giving me anything for free. I was already using their products. I was already paying for their products. They were like, "Hey, we like what you're doing. You're doing good things. You're helping a lot of people out. Let's work something out. Get you a little bit of a discount." Perfect. So from that point on, I was hooked. I shot a compound up until I was about 20, 22 years old. I'm about to be 24 here next month, so I'm going on 2 full years of shooting a recurve. After I graduated college, I moved down to Texas to work at a bow shop and really, really hone my tuning abilities and learn as much as I could. I worked at 2 different shops down there. Worked on a ton of different bows, learned a ton from some great people. Sam Beasley down there at Knocked and Loaded in Killeen, Texas, was one of the best people I've ever been able to work with. He taught me a lot. He used to say that I was him in a younger body. We had a lot of the same ideals, a lot of the same tuning philosophies, and we were a really good team. I ended up moving back to be closer to my family, some family issues, and ended up moving back home up to the Midwest. And but while I was down in Texas is when I made the switch over to a recurve. I was working at a shop. A good buddy of mine, Gavin, he started switching over to a recurve from a compound, and he kept bugging me to shoot a traditional bow. And I was like, dude, I don't know. I really like shooting my compound. I can hit basically whatever I want all the way out to 70 yards. And then later on, I was shooting, and I realized I wasn't getting as much enjoyment out of shooting as I used to. I was shooting long distances. I could basically hit everything that I wanted, like I said before, and I wasn't getting that wow factor anymore. And so at the shop that I worked at, I picked up a cheap entry-level recurve, kept my compound, and started shooting a recurve. Low poundage. At the time, I was shooting a 78 or 80 pound compound, and I went to a 40 pound recurve. Started shooting that recurve and was doing fairly well. Gavin coached me through a lot of the beginner stuff, so I started off on the right foot. Started becoming really, really accurate with it. Moved myself up to 50 pound limbs and really just loved it. And then in that transition period, I moved back to the Midwest in the middle of hunting season. Came back and shot my first deer within the first couple days of me being home. Actually, I think it was the first day of me being home I shot it, and with a recurve, and haven't looked back since. From there on, I ended up shooting a few more deer that season, which was last season. Shot a few more deer with a recurve, and from there on, I decided that I wanted more. Like I said before, I wanted to always learn and be the best at what I was doing. And at the time, I was shooting a carbon arrow, not these in particular. I do mess around with a lot of different setups. Any given time, you can come to my house and I got like 40 different arrows laying around. I actually have a box laying right on the ground right over here of 12 wood arrows. I got wood arrows up here, all these wood arrows, and I'm in the process of building some aluminum arrows and then carbon arrows as well. So I do like to mess around with stuff. Like I said, I'm a tinkerer. I like to really hone my craft and learn everything I can. So I was shooting carbon arrows at the time. Started working at a different place, and that I'm not going to say just because it's a fairly popular place here, and they do get a lot of people going in and out. But there was a guy there who makes wooden arrows, and he's like, dude, if you shoot a recurve, you should shoot some wood arrows out of it. And I was like, All right. Well, if you help me set up and learn about it, I'll give it a go. So at the time, I had just picked up this. This is a custom bighorn. They're kind of hard to find now because bighorn's out of business. I love the bow. Absolutely enjoy it. Love shooting it. And I went over to his house, shot a bunch of different arrows. He built me up a dozen arrows, started shooting them, and from there on, I've been shooting wood arrows. Now this is going to be my first hunting season with wood arrows, so I don't have a clear cut and concise kind of review of wood arrows, but I am also building some aluminums and some carbons that when season's done with and I'm kind of more focused on the tuning and messing around with stuff again, I'll be going over some of that stuff and kind of my thoughts between using wood arrows for a season, at least a season. I could end up using them next year, I'm not sure yet. But using wood arrows and using aluminum versus carbon versus wood, stuff like that, there will be videos on that. So that's kind of in a nutshell my basic archery story. I started out with a compound and slowly transitioned over to a recurve, and now I'm super addicted to shooting a recurve, and I'll probably never go back to a compound. But you can expect a lot of traditional archery videos and a lot of tips and tricks that I've picked up in the year. But by no means am I an expert. I have taken a lot of courses on traditional archery and archery just in general. So I do have a fair bit of knowledge on the topic, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I'm hoping that my videos can reach people and kind of help you guys become better archers as well. So I'll have a few videos coming out here in the future, going over some things, and I hope you enjoyed the story, and that's kind of just my archery journey so far. Like I said, leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear your archery story, kind of where you're at, whether you're just starting, whether you've been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, or whether you're just getting back into it. If you're shooting a compound, a recurve, it doesn't matter to me. We're all archers, and it's a sport that we should all come together in and not be separated by compound or traditional, because I've been in both realms, and I understand how it can be. But with that said, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like the content and you want to see more content like this, just let me know down below in the comment section, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.